Why must one question everything? What are the reasons for your questions? Let's try to find this out. First of all, the first thing that pops in the head is to reveal an illusion that is masquerading as the truth, and to stop the people from following that illusion, right? Basically, to prove someone wrong when they are saying that they are right, because that sense of righteousness which is false is causing damage, not because you have some sort of an ego battle, an ego clash with them. That's why proving them wrong. That's the first reason. The second is to already elevate a truth, to further make it concrete, right? So a truth, an answer is established, you question it to elevate it, right? But that usually can be done when the question is of good quality and there is something unique to the question, because there is, I think, qualities of questioning. There's low quality, there's high quality questions, depending on how you phrase it and how deep you go, right? So when the question is of good quality, that will elevate the truth. But what if the question is of weak quality? In that also the answer, the truth, plays a part. The answer adapts to a way which reduces and demolishes the weakness of the question by answering it very quickly. In that way, it does not sustain the weakness of the question. It answers it precisely in a second, and that's it. In that way, it redeems the weak question, even that, right? These are mainly in ideas, answers, truths. Why must one question that? Right? This is further to add, why question an answer? For example, you heard an answer, a truth. Why not implement it in reality and test it out like that? That's obvious, because it comes at a big cost. It comes at the cost of appearing like a fool, of taking insults from people, because you implemented an answer which was not right. It comes at time, a cost of time, insults, reputation, damage of all sorts, right? So you question it to minimize all that cost and damage which would have been incurred if you had implemented the answer. There are different ways to combat an answer, to combat the truth. One of the ways is to implement it. Another is to question it. Another is to find out how much of the truth relates with the entire population of the world. That could be a way, but that's not usually a reliable way, because the onus falls on the individuals, right? It's not the truth that is at fault, but maybe half of the population is not right. Anyway, so yeah, you question the truth because it's least cost effective. That's why you use questions. What else? Why question everything? Why must one question everything? Because that is the most easily available way which is given to a person. Because implementing the truth takes resources and questioning does not. On the contrary, it comes from within, right? Less energy is required, and it also improves the questioner. It helps you in thinking critically, right? it builds some sort of fortress in your head and helps you, I think, in the future to look through various other false truths, right? So the more you question, I think it eventually leads to the point where you need less of questions to see through the truth, through the illusion, the false truth, right? I'm not sure about this, but this might be the case. The more you question, the less questions are eventually required for you. Here is another reason, which is actually, I think, an extension of the previous reason, which is that to use question as a test for an answer and a truth, and not the implementation as a test to the answer, because implementation requires a lot of resources, cost and whatnot. Anyway, why question and not implement? Because implementation does not lead to immediate discovery of the false truth, right? You might have gone way long into the implementation process. So you have an answer, a truth, someone said, and you begin to build a social structure upon it, a foundation, a building, and 30% into the foundation, 50%, 70%, how much ever, you realize the answer is wrong. So it didn't come immediately, a lot of effort was required. Then that comes with all sorts of troubles and excuses, right? Because you put so much effort into it, you might get tricked into believing the answer is right. You might purposely continue on your path and take the false truth because you put effort into it. But that's not the case with questioning it. When you question the answer, it's usually, if not the first question, the second question, the third question, maybe the fourth question will reveal it. But it sticks under that domain, under that area of questioning, right? But it is usually the first question that reveals the truth behind a false illusion, behind an answer, right? But that depends on the quality of the questioner and the question, how much depth the question has, right? Anyway, why question everything? Many reasons I provided here. You think of a reason if you can, right? Why not implement it? Why not implement an answer to test it, to test its legibility, right? Reasons, try to find the reasons for that. I think implementation is the final step, right? But questioning is the first step. You question to discover, and implementation should not be used to discover the truth about something, a statement, an idea, or anything like that. That is it.